The Solomon Islands need games. That's what I've titled this video because it's so true, and you could say this about so many teams from the OFC region, to be honest, but particularly the Solomon Islands, and here is why. Because they came runner-up, ultimately, in OFC World Cup Qualification, losing out quite heavily in the final to New Zealand, but nonetheless a great showing for them, and it kind of put them on the map a little bit, because the games were played in Qatar, and they reached the final, and they played some beautiful football. They've got some good young players, Rafa Leai obviously being picked as one of those for the future. They've got some really good older players as well. Mikelea Latha, prime example. He's not old, but he's older than Rafa. You've got Hardesai Ngari at the back as well. Just an all-round, well-balanced and good footballing side that have really grown under coach Felipe Vega-Arango's leadership. And he has even come out and said, look, we need more games. Don't forget, this is in the context of OFC next time around, ahead of 2026 World Cup qualifiers. There is now 1.5 places available in OFC. Let's assume for a second that New Zealand still win when it comes to the year 2025 and we're doing the next set of World Cup qualifiers. Let's say that New Zealand win out again. They will get the one fixed spot, but there's still 0.5 of a place up for grabs. The Solomon Islands and probably PNG, debatably Fiji as well. We can't comment on sides like Vanuatu who have previously been strong because obviously they weren't able to play. But certainly PNG, but Solomon Islands, runners up in this tournament, they'll be looking for that 0.5 place. But that is 3 years away, at least 3 years away, before they even start their World Cup qualifiers. How can we judge, right here, right now, how can we judge what the OFC teams are going to be like in 3 years' time? The teams are totally different from the last set of World Cup qualifiers. Who knows what the next ones will bring? And for the Solomon Islands, the real danger, and it's a danger a little bit for New Zealand and potentially why they lost out to Costa Rica as well. There's not enough games in this region. You have to organise friendlies. Only New Zealand have the kind of pulling power and the financial capability to organise friendlies. But they still don't play enough routine games. You've got to think, take a UEFA side for example, World Cup qualifiers for Euros, Nations League. You've got big international games. I'm going to use England as a rubbish example, right? Germany, Italy, Hungary. In a random time in June in the Nations League. These are competitive games. England did terrible, but the coaching staff can look at that and make assessments for what they're going to do for when it really counts. It would still be nice to win the Nations League, sure. But a side like Solomon Islands, if they could play a Pacific Games or play some kind of tournament that was set up against some sides from their own region, but also a few that they haven't played before, some tough sides maybe from Southeast Asia that isn't that far away geographically, because I understand some of the restrictions there, then they would be able to test themselves at a higher level. Because otherwise, OFC will never get more than one team. They will never get more than one team because the Solomon Islands know how to play PNG, they know how to play Fiji, they know how to play Vanuatu, and they lose to New Zealand. They've never been tested. When was the last time that they had a string of games, or any other sides that aren't New Zealand, when was the last time that one of those sides played, say, 3 teams in a calendar year that were for outside of OFC? Or when was the last time that they even played 3 teams in a calendar year that wasn't a part of World Cup qualifiers? OFC needs specific games. These players need international football. The coaches, they need to be able to see what works and what doesn't against teams of varying ability. Solomon Islanders, I call on you. What kind of tournament would you want to be seen set up for OFC teams? Maybe not even just the Solomons, anyone from OFC. New Zealand, of course, as well, because you'll want to play more games between now and, say, 2025. It's crazy that these teams have to wait that long. What kind of tournament do you think could be set up? What other restrictions do you think there are? And also, let's talk about the other sides in OFC that aren't part of OFC. Sorry, they're in Oceania, but they're not part of OFC. Micronesia, Palau. There's loads of examples. Kiribati. Plenty of examples of sides that could join and maybe just bolster out the region. Maybe you can get smaller tournaments or maybe some more friendlies going. Ultimately, it's a neglected region by FIFA. The sides need more games. How would you like to see it constructed? Don't forget to hit like, subscribe to this video, and let's get the conversation going around why the Solomon Islanders need more games. We will see you next time.